May 1952. And the de Havilland Comet becomes the world's first jet airliner, flying from London to Johannesburg, while Newcastle becomes the first team this century to retain the FA Cup. Gridball had 10 games this month, taking the regular season to its midway point. Birmingham entered May knowing that victory over bottom-placed West Yorkshire would put them top, 5 games into the 14-game schedule. However, the underdogs went in front through Mary Broomfield just before the interval. Sylvia Felgate levelled in the third quarter. Vivian Ireland's mistake then gifted Zena Hall the goal that won it for the Vipers, despite a brilliant Valerie Cutts save from Asa Martin late on. Middlesex travelled to Leeds, having lost back-to-back games for the first time. They faced an Owls side unbeaten in 3. However, the Saxons made a flying start. Geraldine Gaunt's blushes at missing a first-minute sitter were spared by Ellen McEwen, following up to score. A spirited Leeds fought back, and only a great Norma Blower block carried the Saxons' lead into the second quarter. McEwen then doubled their advantage right on half-time. Pamela Flint made a fine save to deny Pauline Barrack at the start of the third quarter. Moments later, McEwen completed her hat-trick to wrap up the game. Glenda Wetton then deflected a fourth into her own goal as the Owls collapsed, quickly letting McEwen in for a fifth. It gave the Saxons a bonus point and took them top of the table. Geraldine Gaunt made that point safe 10 minutes from time, before Wetton denied her again late on, making amends for the earlier own goal. Leeds had the shortest possible time to dwell on their mauling. They were back in action the following weekend, travelling south to London. Anne Sowden had been married just 3 days earlier and was playing for the first time under her married name, Craigie. But London was not a good place to go. The Limeys were on a run of 3 straight wins and knew victory would take them top. Eutha Feldman returned after missing the previous match. The Owls actually started brightly, but were soon under the cosh. Craigie did well to deny Joan Wallace once, but could not do so a second time. The second half followed the same pattern. Wallace made it 2 and took the Limeys to the top of the table. West Yorkshire brought in Audrey Denby for her debut at centre, as they tried to halt a 3-game winless run. The Blades recalled Nita Layton in goal and welcomed back Rowena Forster from suspension as they looked to avoid a 3rd straight defeat. The Terriers made a fine start. Emily Taylor opened the scoring before Mary Broomfield doubled the lead. Margot Hicks struck back immediately for the Blades, but a Lorna Court own goal restored the Terriers' 2-goal advantage at the interval. Jill Webb pulled the Blades back into the game early in the third quarter. Era Cordell was then denied an equaliser by a fine Valerie Cutts save as the Blades pressed. But they were caught out 20 minutes from time, Mary Broomfield striking again. That goal broke the visitors. Emily Taylor added a 5th in the final quarter. Broomfield then completed her hat-trick before sealing a bonus point 4 minutes from time. When Birmingham travelled to Durham on May the 17th, they started the day in 3rd place, a point adrift of London. It was a quiet game early on, until Gracie Bruce grabbed Sylvia Felgate as she was about to score. The Lasses' goalkeeper was sent to the sin bin, and Felgate converted the dead hit. With a player advantage, Felgate doubled the lead in the second quarter and completed her hat-trick before the break. Durham's day worsened in the third quarter, when they became the first team ever reduced to 5 players. Barbara Cole was ordered off, and the outcome was inevitable. Felgate struck again for her 4th, before sealing a bonus point 8 minutes from time. Third-placed Middlesex then faced 6th-placed Glasgow. The game failed to spark early and did not come to life until the second quarter. Heather Wallace opened the scoring, only for Susan McCrossan to provide an instant reply. McCrossan then fired the Claymores into a third-quarter lead. Ellen McEwen cancelled that out 4 minutes later. She then went on to find the winner 13 minutes from time. On the 24th, London took their 4-game winning streak to West Yorkshire, fielding an attacking lineup that saw Patricia Windsor brought in as a third forward. The Terriers recalled Patricia Dowie at centre and weathered the early London pressure. They were rewarded, taking a deserved lead through Emily Taylor. The Limeys then abandoned their experimental attack. They snatched a point late on, Frances Ann Davis finding the equaliser. Essex welcomed back Miranda Hitchcock at sweeper for a crunched emotion battle with Leeds. They made a flying start. Era Cordell opened the scoring inside 40 seconds. Cordell struck again at the start of the second half before completing her hat-trick at the end of the third quarter. Jill Webb made it 4 just a minute later. Cordell then secured a priceless bonus point 11 minutes from time. On May the 31st, Birmingham became the first team this season to start a match on top of the table. They arrived in Glasgow on a run of 3 straight wins. Unsurprisingly, the Vipers were quickly on top of the struggling Scots. Sylvia Felgate opened the scoring early on. Asa Martin added a second, before Jill Jackson gifted Felgate a third to cap a dominant first half. Martin then missed a glorious chance, but made amends just a minute later. Felgate followed up before the end of the third quarter, moving the Vipers into bonus point territory. Helen Annis sealed a comfortable win 3 minutes from time. The champions brought the month to a close in Durham. The lasses handed debuts to Ursula Sugden and Peggy Flewitt. Anne Milano returned from injury, but was unable to dislodge Pamela Flint from the Saxons' goal. It was a very dull first half, marked only by Enid Gleadle giving Durham a shock lead. Durham held that advantage through the second half as the Saxons barely mustered a shot. That surprise defeat for the champions put Birmingham into a clear lead at the halfway stage of the regular season. As consolation for losing Supergrid 51 after finishing top of the table last year, a Birmingham goldsmith fashioned a shield and presented it to the Vipers. Now, holding a 4-point advantage, Birmingham offered the shield as the prize for whoever would finish top this season. Another prize was the Golden Bat, and despite her team's struggles, it was not for lack of goals from Susan McCrossan. Back in Durham, Anne Milano, Middlesex's Supergrid winning goalie, boarded the train back to London. With the emergence of Pamela Flint, she suspected she might never regain her place in the team. In January 1953, Milano rejected the offer of a new contract and instead pursued a career as an actress. She would become a star of the stage in the 60s and of television in the 70s, winning Olivier, BAFTA and Emmy Awards. She was made Dame Anne Milano in 2002. And though she played just 7 times for the Saxons in her youth, she can still count a Supergrid among her honours.